Rob, Saracens this weekend, top two in the division, is quite a clash.
Yeah, and obviously the kind of fixture that you work very hard for a long period to make these big fixtures happen this time of the season, and I've been really pleased with looking at the players' response. We look very enthusiastic in training, really energetic, and I think we're genuinely going to go there and really go for the win, which is all we can really ask for the lads. We don't really want them to go there and be nervy and edgy and worried about losing top spot. We want to go there and try and play in a way that merits we deserve to stay there, and that's what we focused on this week.
You talk about Saracens, they're the only side to have beaten you here at Sandy Park, but what lessons did you learn from that game in particular?
Oh, a little bit like every time you play Saracens, that you've got to be very good, you've got to be very clinical, you've got to take your opportunities when they're there, and the majority of the time, even if you play well, the game's going to be pretty close, and it's going to come down to one or two things very often. And to be fair, we haven't actually talked about that too much. We haven't talked about trying to stay in the game and squeak a narrow one. We've actually talked about the qualities we need to show and the enthusiasm we want to show for the game, and the emotion we want to bring to the day. We haven't really talked too much about the result, so to speak. We've talked a lot about wanting to enjoy this season for what it is and wanting it to go on for as many weeks as possible, and we should be relishing every minute, because there's the potential. I mean, it's already a very good season for us, and there's a potential for it to be a great season with a lot of interesting games, and I just want the players to enjoy every minute of it. You
talk about the qualities, and they really came through second half, and that's probably your benchmark for a starting point this weekend.
That's right, and I think the game kind of showed that. I think a few players have realised it post the game, that actually going into a game more concerned about what you might lose, or more concerned about the errors you might make, or the mistakes that may happen under pressure, actually can be quite inhibiting and actually doesn't bring the best out of us. And I think all we did in the second half is we just got our heads down and we kept things simple, and we did what we're good at. There was no magic to it, there was no miracles to it. It was just really good, solid, disciplined application of what we do day by day in training, and I actually think the players really enjoyed doing that, and I think they'll have learned from the weekend that as I said, we don't need to find miracles to win big games of rugby, but we do have to be good, and we have to be good at what we do, and as I say, I'm hoping that will follow that through for the majority of the rest of the season. But the truth is, we'll have nervy moments going ahead. If these games weren't big, then there would be no point. There'd be no point to them. They're big and they're important games, and that's going to make some of the lads a bit nervy and edgy, and there'll be the odd mistake, but the odd mistake isn't going to kill us. It's how we respond and how we get on with things.
Saracens will bring back a number of England players from Grand Slam, but you yourself have got two in the camp, and how proud are you of what they've achieved over the last few weeks?
Oh, it's been fantastic, hasn't it? It's fantastic to, it's been fantastic being here, hasn't it? We've watched some great rugby from our lads, and then you've been able to go into the bar and have a drink and watch, Jack Noel running around and securing a Six Nation, a Grand Slam, and watching Dickie come on in a crucial and important time last week has been great. I think it's been a great experience for both of them, and that, along with the other lads getting the training experience. Sam Hill spent a fair bit of time there. Dave Hughes spent a fair bit of time up there. They're big things. They're great experiences for the lads, and they've been part of something that England haven't achieved for 13 years. So it takes some doing, and they're quite rightly very proud of what they've achieved.
The club have announced a new partnership with Exeter College today, and those two prime examples of how the system works for academy youngsters coming through, and it's great for the region to have this local link as well of guys coming through and then going to the very highest echelons of the game.
That's right, and I've kind of said many times that what we do well here is we get the balance right. We work extremely hard with our academy and the young lads in the Devon and Cornwall area to bring them through and give them the opportunity to play as high a standard as possible, and part of that is making sure they play in really good teams and they experience really good things, and they experience other international players, and that they all get here and they learn together and they develop together. And I think that's what you're seeing. You're seeing players coming through of international quality, and we've got to work extremely hard to make sure that they keep coming through, because it's pretty tough to get in the Exeter first team at the moment. We're top of the Premiership and we're in a European quarter-final, and if you're an academy player with any aspirations, you've got to be pretty good. You've got to be looking at guys like Jack Noel and Henry Slade and Luke Cowan-Dickie and Dave Ewers, and you've actually got to be thinking that you need to prepare yourself to be pretty much international quality to get in the team, and that's great for us. It's great for us to be able to set those standards for our academy players and for our academy coaches to thrive to. But as you say, things like linking with Exeter College now, and how hard they're prepared to work to get top class facilities and the correct coaching environment and education environment in place is going to be great for us.
And the walking wounding's looking a lot better. Damien Welsh is virtually there in the picture for selection now. Mitch Lees is not too far away. How important is it having nearly a fully fit squad for this last handful of games?
I mean, obviously it's going to be important, isn't it? The team that can hit the big games and these important last few weeks with as many fit bodies on parade as possible. As much for training as for playing is going to be very important. Obviously, you know, Damien being back has added quite a few options around the back five of the scrum. Mitch is not too far away, although he had a little bit of a lapse in his kind of rehab through. He had a pretty bad, he was pretty ill last week, and that's probably knocked him back a few days, if not a week. But he's getting there. And obviously Michele Campanaro, the great news is he's not too badly injured. He could be back in full training next week, which we didn't initially think was going to be possible, but he's come through really well, and that'll start to thicken things out, because our backline is a little bit walking wounded, a bit bumped and bruised from the weekend from a very physical game, but we're hoping most of them will come through and be fit by the weekend, and if not this weekend, for the following week. So we're getting there. We're getting pretty strong. We're getting pretty fit, and it looks like we're going to get stronger. And
finally, just looking at training, you can see the excitement around the boys. They know they're at the business end, and this is when the big sides start to play, and you're being considered as one of those big sides now.
Yeah, I mean, which is very nice, very flattering. I mean, I think there's still some very, very important games to come, and if you actually spend any time looking at the fixtures to come, both for ourselves and for the clubs, there's some tough fixtures there ahead for all of us. And when you look at, say, the impact that a team like Bath can still have on the whole race to be in the top four, it's incredible, really. I think they play 2 or 3 games against teams fighting for the top 4. You've got teams who are scrapping it out in a bit of a relegation dogfight at the end, which at the bottom of the table, which is involving 3 or 4 sides. They've all got some really big games to come up. So it's going to be very interesting running, and that's why I want to keep talking to players about focusing on enjoying each minute. I'm not starting to look ahead to semi-finals or quarter-finals or where they think they might end up in the table, but let's make sure we go to Saracens today. We've got 80 minutes this weekend, and we've got 80 minutes of Premiership rugby, and there's not that many games left this season, and let's make sure we enjoy every one of them. And I don't, my only regret would be if we get to the end of the season and a few of the lads look back and go, no, that day we didn't turn up at Saracens, that was the day we let ourselves down, or that day we didn't turn up for Worcester at home, that was the day we let ourselves down. We're going to knock these off one at a time, and we're going to focus on everyone like a precious thing.